Welcome back, and this morning, if you're considering what to have for breakfast, I'd recommend Niche chocolate drink for you. It has all the nutrients, it is packed with the vitamins, and of course, it is very, very tasty. And everyone who has had it can attest to the fact that it really does taste good. And so this morning, make sure that you have some Niche chocolate drink. It is 100% Ghanaian owned, and it is also made from 100% pure cocoa. And so please go ahead, enjoy, and let me know what you think. There's a sachet, and you can just mix it with hot water. It has milk, it has sugar, it is very tasty. Then they have the 750 ml bottle and the Tetra Pak. And they also have Niche chocolate, and it comes in the dark form, or if you want any of the other flavors available, then you can go for the lighter pack. It comes in strawberry, orange, there's vanilla, so many of them. There's ginger. In fact, everything that you want in chocolate, you'll find it in Niche chocolate. And so make sure that you go ahead and enjoy it. And now it's time to meet my guest for this morning. Palgrave Boakye Dankwa is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You've had
Happy
a good
new month.
Happy new month to you as well. I haven't seen you the whole of this month.
It's true.
I hope everything is good. Your best friend is here with you today
Yes,
too.
I mean, senior is always a good man. It's always good to share the platform with you.
I see. Anyway, so Comrade Murtala Mohammed, the MP for Tamale Central, is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you
Bella.
doing?
Alhamdulillah, we can't complain.
Yesterday, you were trending all over the place.
Well,
A few concerns were shared
supposed,
on
I was not
another
supposed
platform.
to be trending. I was invited to a program on Good Evening Ghana. And for the avoidance of doubt, and if Paul Adumochiri is watching, I didn't want to come on the program. And I told the producer I was busy. He had to plead with me. So yesterday he said that when he invited me, Arash come in. When I went on the program, I made certain pronouncements. And I challenged Paul that if he had the balls, he should invite me on his program on Tuesday so that I'll be there and then he would say the things he wants to say or respond to the things I said. Yesterday, I was on a sister TV station on Pan-Africa TV. So I was receiving a lot of text messages. Oh, tune in to Metro TV. Some tried even calling. After the program, I had to go watch it. And to be very honest, I laughed for almost 30 minutes.
You laughed for almost 30 minutes. Why?
I saw a very frustrated journalist who appeared to be speaking from a different state of mind. And I am not surprised. He said something in the first place. If I said that your program has been debased, I think I was vindicated. How can you do a flyer with my picture without my consent?
You were not aware
Never.
of it.
I was never aware. 2, how can you advertise your program with my picture, purporting to be having me on the program when you never invited me for the program? Now, even when I saw that, I called the producer and I said, but why are you guys not inviting me for the program? The producer could not tell me why they are not inviting me. So I think that I was vindicated. And again, if you look at the flyer, he said that he was going to give me some education. Ironically, he got the spelling education wrong.
Oh.
How
But
could
that's not him.
Please,
I mean...
No. That is his program. And therefore, whoever did the flyer, he certainly would have approved the flyer before they put it on his page. In any case, if he didn't see, then it tells you the kind of a journalist he is. Because why would they do something put in my name and I wouldn't have to go through it? And I have every reason to believe he did. You see, why I'm speaking on this because he made certain statements that were factually inaccurate. Now, what he tried to do, apparently he might have Googled information about me. He wanted to go after my educational credentials and realized that it's a no-go area. So he mocked the fact that I boldly put on my CV that I'm a trained teacher. And Bella, I've said on this program, of all the certificates I have acquired, and God is my witness, nothing gives me pride than the teacher certificate I have acquired. He mocked it. And I want to tell Paul that to be a teacher is a professional course. You need profound intellectual capacity to go through, write your exams, to pass and get the certificate as a teacher. When he attempted one, he failed several times. Now he tried to liken himself with Professor Kwame Nkrumah. The Professor Kwame Nkrumah is a professor of law. He is not a practicing lawyer. The difference between Professor Kwame Nkrumah and you is that he didn't write the exam several times and failed. You wrote several times and failed, and that is the difference.
It happens.
No, so I'm saying he shouldn't liken that. I have never sat on this program or any program to talk about my educational credentials. Bella, you know me, I'm not interested in labels.
All right.
Even the title honorable Even on the floor of Parliament, I have consistently said I don't want it. But let me just conclude on this. I'll conclude.
Please.
He said that I have done some development planning, something, something. These were the words he used. And that I have done some international relations, something, something. And he didn't even acknowledge the fact that I have LLB. Now, let me make something very clear. When I went to do the planning, not something, something, masters in planning, I was not just given admission. I applied, I write an exams, I was shortlisted, I went through interview, and I got admission to do planning. In fact, I was one of the few 13 students admitted to do the masters in planning of the spring at the Department of Planning. 2, when I applied to do masters in international relations at Legon, I wrote an exams, went through vigorous interview, and then I was shortlisted after the exams, went through the interview, and I got admission. And 3, he said that, oh, I've just been told that he had LLB in 2016. I have never said anywhere I'm a lawyer. I have never. And in fact, on this program, I said that when I went in to do law, I never went in to do law to practice.
Okay.
If I wanted, I would have gone. But let me just...
Let's end on
yes,
this.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
We don't have much time.
One thing he said, at the end of the program, he said, oh, I'm told he's also doing some political science. Paul, I'm not just doing political science. I'm in my final year at the political science department doing my PhD.
Okay.
But for the avoidance of doubt, I never said, because that was the first issue he responded. He said that I said that the MPP could not or cannot win the elections in Domi Kobinya. If you watch the video, that was never an issue with this guy. What I said was that when he put the picture of Makokwe Jr. and said that Makokwe Jr. would be the candidate, I said, how did he know? And I even went ahead to say that the MPP parade itself as doyens of democracy, and I really do not think they would want to impose my good friend Makokwe Jr. on them. They would have to go through primary. So I never said that.
Let's end it here. Let's end it here.
Last point. This one I promise.
Comrade,
this one I promise.
I'll take that from your time to address the issue.
This one, yes, I promise. Last point.
10 seconds,
last
please.
Point. And he said that I needed to have asked Honorable Haruna Idrisu and Honorable Mama Yarga so that they will give me some education in law before I come on the program. I know that if I had asked Honorable Haruna Idrisu and Honorable Mama Yarga, they certainly would have told me that the Mama secondary case is not the same thing as Honorable Christian's case.
Noted.
So my simple advice to him, and I'm throwing this challenge once again on this program, if he has the balls, have me on the program. We are not there to show fisticuffs.
Okay, so you settled this with him on his
once
show.
Again to invite me on his program.
So this is an issue between Comrade and, of course, Paul Adomotri. I would like to disassociate myself and my platform, TV3 and Media General, from this. Whatever the issue is, this is not about fear. Whatever the issue, I hope that they can resolve it and we're not a part of it. I have one guest who's been waiting on Zoom. I apologize. Mr. Gabi Kumi is the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketing Companies Association of Ghana. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us. Gabi, can you hear us? Hello, Gabi, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
All right, good to have you join us this morning. And there's a need for us to have Gabi Kumi on because there is a strike that has been embarked on by the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, the Ghana LPG Operators Association of Ghana, and the Tanker Drivers Association of Ghana. And so at the moment, if you are a consumer of LPG or a customer of LPG, then you'd realize that there is some scarcity due to this strike. And they've raised a number of issues, including a shutdown of some stations as a result of the atomic junction gas explosion 5 years ago, and they want government to immediately lift the ban. In fact, when this ban was implemented, we're told that it was supposed to make way for the cylinder recirculation model and also prevent, gas stations from being in the middle of town where there were a lot of people. And so this was a safety matter, which is why that ban was instituted. It's been about 5, almost 6 years since this ban was instituted. I remember that even with you, Mr. Gabi Kumi, we've been having conversations about this for the longest time, about having government lift this ban. That hasn't happened. And I believe that that is the main reason why this strike was embarked on.
Yes, Bella, thank you for having me. The reason for embarking on this strike is very, very simple, straightforward, and legitimate. Our members have sunk $10 million into construction of LPG stations across the country. $10 million into construction of 122 stations across Ghana. And a ban has been placed on them. Let me give you a little bit of history to this. I mean, we all witnessed the unfortunate incident that happened in 2017, October 7, 2017, explosion at Atomic Junction. That really shook. May the souls of those who lost their lives on that explosion rest in absolute peace.
Amen.
We all regretted that incident, and after the incident, government came up with a lot of measures to help safeguard Ghanaians, to help protect Ghanaians, and to prevent such incident from happening. We in the LPG industry cooperated fully with the government to ensure that all these measures are implemented on the ground. And I think that is what has led to a relatively lower incidence of explosion that we've not witnessed any major explosions over the past few years. One directive that cabinet gave that we vehemently disagreed with at the time and we still disagree with now is the ban on construction of ongoing LPG stations. There's a need to distinguish that. If government feel it does not want us to construct LPG stations in Ghana again, we understand. If that is government policy, that is not something we are prepared to fight on. Our fight for the past 5 years has been those stations which were under various stages of construction at the time the explosion occurred. You know what it is that it takes an average of between 2-3 years to be able to construct an LPG station. So our members had been given various permits in 2014, in 2016, and even earlier part of 2017 itself. And we were constructing these stations when the explosions occurred. You know, we have about 122 stations across the country, some of which were at 99% completion level, others were at 70%, 80%, various stages of completion. So when government directive came, we immediately wrote back to government that if you are telling us you are not issuing new permit for us to open new stations, we agree to that. But based on the previous permit you issued to us, we have gone for loans and we have sunk $10 million into construction of these 122 outlets. So please give us that leeway so we can complete these stations and recoup the investment made in them so we can repay the loans we have contracted from the banks. And it's been 5 good years of struggle. We have written letters. We have had meetings with the Ministry of Energy, the National Petroleum Authority. And we don't seem to be making any headway. But in fact, I must admit that the NPA under the leadership of Mustafa Mohammed and the current Minister of Energy have a lot. In fact, we have intercepted documents that were prepared by MPA to Cabinet through Ministry of Energy that seek to support the argument we are making. And these documents our intel tells us that these documents have been sent to Cabinet. But you know, the problem is that those directives were issued by Cabinet. So neither the Ministry of Energy nor the National Petroleum Authority has the right, has the power to vary that directive from Cabinet. If they want a variation, all that they need to do is to make a presentation to Cabinet. For Cabinet view its own decision.
But the Energy Minister has said, yesterday I listened to him on another platform where he said that, yes, he has heard these calls. And of course, he also corroborated the fact that they have also sent that information to Cabinet and he can assure that this ban will be lifted. Is that not good enough?
Assurances have been given to us over the past 5 years. Did the Energy Minister give you any timelines by which we all can hold him on? He said it will be lifted. Is it next week, next month, next year, next 2 years, next 10 years? Now, what is happening in that is that, in fact, 2 of our members have died as a result of frustration. Now, our banks are attacking the collaterals we use in securing these loans. They are selling our properties. They are throwing our members from their house and selling their properties to defray the debt. Just about 2-3 weeks ago, one of our senior members, a 70-year-old man, had the bank go to his house with the police, ransacked the house, took every single movable property from the house, including the bed and mattress he and his wife lays on. That is what is happening to our members. We have been writing letters and we have done, in fact, we have even attempted to go on strike on several occasions.
Yeah.
If we make the attempt, the ministry calls us, the MPA calls us, they sit us down, we are going to resolve the issue, and then go back to work. But where the thing is going now, if we don't take, maybe cabinet does not really appreciate the magnitude of the situation. The LPG industry, the LPG downstream, is one of the few local industries we have. Indeed, is in terms of participation, LPG and the industry is 100% Ghanaian. Now we have Bayera Ayachi and Koko Ayachi all being taken over by our friends from Asia. We have such an industry, and your indigenes have sunk in this amount of money. 10 million, we got a consultant who visited all these 120 outlets, put figures to them, and the report is telling us that we have invested $10 million on the ground.
But
all effort to get the authorities to lift this, we are not even asking for a total lifting of the ban. We are saying that those projects that you gave us permits from fire service, from EPA, from town and country, from factory inspectorate, all these guys have given us permit to do those constructions. We have constructed to an extent, there is an explosion. We regret what happened, but there is no industry in Ghana that does not have accidents and incidents.
But Mr. Kumi,
we have a way to complete these outlets so that we can give Ghanaians more jobs. Each LPG station you see out there employs about 10 people, 120 LPG outlets. Directly, you are giving 1,200 labor employment to Ghanaians.
but Mr. Kumi, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I remember that the then CEO of the NPA, Honorable Hassan Tampuli, had mentioned that with the cylinder recirculation model, it will give about 4,500 people jobs. And in fact, at that time, they had already even agreed to 2 companies and given them license to establish. There were still a number of them that were working on it. I think this was sometime back last year, last 2 years, which is when he spoke. But if they lift the ban at this point, does that not go against the cylinder recirculation model? And does it not defeat that purpose?
Recirculation model in any way. In any case, cylinder recirculation model are going to need these outlets for cylinder distribution. All these outlets are going to serve as cylinder exchange point to distribute your cylinder recirculation model. What is with 1,000, whatever employment? How are you going to create that? Are you going to create that employment based on the current consumption? You need to raise consumption to a certain height. What consumption is going to support that kind of employment? Or you are going to sack all the people in the industry and bring in new ones? You can create that job if you don't increase consumption significantly. We don't have any problem with cylinder recirculation as a policy. Our beef at the time was the way the policy was being implemented in 2017, 2018, 2019.
Okay.
We have an industry like the LPG industry that has been in existence for the past 25 years. You pay your cylinder recirculation, you are not introducing a new industry. You are only trying to apply a new strategy to an existing industry.
Okay.
And I employ 7,000 Ghanaians, direct labor. So if you are trying to apply a new strategy, there is a need for you to have the necessary patience to gradually rope in the current guys who have done the thing for 25 years, drag them along, get them to be the frontliners to implement your policy for you.
Okay. So does it mean that if this ban is not lifted, you are not calling off the strike? And
We
that
are
means
not going back to work. We have had enough. It's been 5 solid years.
Ghanaians, how would Ghanaians get access to gas?
To direct their anger to the government.
Okay. Let me bring Palgrave in then.
Indigenous funds.
Okay. Please hold on. Let me bring Palgrave in to respond to this, because you've heard from the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association. He says that until you lift this ban as a government, they are not going to call off the strike. Ghanaians need their LPG. If we're hoping to achieve that 60% peg that the UN gave us, then we need to ensure that some of these challenges are addressed. What are we doing?
Bella, very good morning to you and to your viewers, and very good morning to Mr. Gabriel Kumi. I'm very certain that the concerns that he has raised are really very major concerns to government as well. I think that the Minister for Energy, the Honorable Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, stated yesterday that sometime today, Cabinet is going to have a meeting in the afternoon, and he's confident that the ban will be lifted.
Okay.
So from a government position, I can assure Mr. Gabriel Kumi that by the close of business day today, I'm certain that a number of press releases will come from the Ministry of Energy stating that the ban has been lifted. So these investments that has been put in, they can be able to rake in their money back.
Did we have to wait for a strike? Is that probably
I'm
why
not
government is
certain.
meeting,
On Monday,
Cabinet is meeting?
no, Cabinet has meetings every week.
No, I'm talking about this in particular. Is that why Cabinet, and we're hearing from the Energy Minister saying that we will lift the
Tomorrow
ban?
is a holiday, you're aware. So Cabinet has to meet. Cabinet meets once a week, every week.
On Thursdays, I think.
Well, yes, but tomorrow is a holiday.
Thursdays, okay.
Tomorrow is a holiday. So
Okay.
on Monday, there was a meeting that was held. Actually, they were invited. Well over 4 hours, they didn't turn up. But you're aware as well that the Minister for Energy sent a letter to Cabinet on Friday, which was the 29th of July, to put it on the agenda of Cabinet today. But I saw Mr. Kumi clapping, and so he can assure his he can assure his colleagues and the industry that government the reason why he took all of that processes was for public safety, to make sure that, over the years we've always stated that when white paper comes out, government does not work with that, and a lot of investigations have been done. Government needs to go through those recommendations and implement those recommendations in the very interest of the Ghanaian people, for public safety. And so by close of day today, Mr. Kumi, I think that you don't even need to wait. I mean, having been on TV3, one of the credible TV stations in this country, you can tell your men to go to work, waiting for government's lifting of the ban. That's going to happen. You can take that from me and from the Minister for Energy that it's tabled before Parliament today.
But why did we have to wait this long, Palgrave? 5 years.
Yes,
That's been too long.
But you see, which is why people have lost their lives. Like he stated, yes. It's not an industry where you will not expect that there wouldn't be incidents. But usually when incidents happen, there are a lot of investigations that are done. When the investigations are done, there's a white paper that comes out. The white paper is what government uses to work. And government has taken time to make those decisions and considerations so that at least it enables every other person who has been involved in the processes to have a sense of an appreciation. And I'm very certain that a number of about 61 stations as well that will be used for the cylinder recirculation, which would give an opportunity for a lot more people who have challenges with cylinder to have good cylinder. So I assure Mr. Kumi and the rest of the industry and the Ghanaian people that there wouldn't be any shortage of gas or LPG. Don't rush to the various LPG sites. There's enough gas for everybody. Mr. Kumi and the rest of the leaders are going to go back to work right now, because they have the assurance of government that government is going to lift up the ban by close of day.
What is the update on the cylinder recirculation model? Because that is also another concern for many people. Even the fact that people are saying that they are not sure how this is going to be rolled out, whether their cylinders are going to come back in the same form or they'll give them other cylinders, which may be new or old. I mean, that's another concern. But where have we gotten to with this model?
So this model really is that, there are various types of cylinders. I mean, there's 14, there's 8, there's 12, and all of that. And the recirculation model really helps with other cylinders that are defaulted. I mean, there are other times that people are using very, very bad cylinders because they continually want to use those cylinders. The cylinder recirculation model helps to ensure that when people bring in 40 cylinders, it doesn't go back into the households. Okay. It's really just a matter of protecting the lives and livelihood of the citizens who themselves patronize these cylinders. Elsewhere in the world, you would realize that there will not even be a need of a big cylinder that you will put in your vehicle to go and fill. It's all tubed. But I am certain that as Ghana develops, we'll get there. At this stage, The country is not tubed with cylinders. I mean, it's all just you need to carry it, and everybody needs to carry it into their home, unless, of course, maybe you've done a private cylinder gas tank in your home where you've tubed it around. So that model is really to ensure that we sieve out all those bad cylinders that are not good, that causes havoc to people's homes, and then bring in new cylinders. Your cylinder may not necessarily come back to you, but you'll be rest assured that you're getting a cylinder that is good, that has gone through the various processes of requirements, that is safe enough for you to use in your home.
Where are we with the implementation of this? It was supposed to have taken, what, just 2 years from the point of the ban. Now we're 5 years and counting.
I'm very certain that a number of these conversations would also come up during cabinet meeting. I'm aware that there are about 61 stations that are going to be used for that model in terms of the recirculation. So in that process as well, I'm certain that by close of day today, you'll see a number of updates that will come from.
So it hasn't started at all?
No, it hasn't started at all, clearly. So a number of them, so that people can really just see the benefit of the cylinder recirculation.
But if we knew we weren't starting that soon, I mean, why did we keep these people banned for so long? Now he's talking about some $10 million that they have invested in total in putting up some of these structures, some 50% level of completion and all. And we've shut them down. We're not allowing them to start operations, nothing at all. And all these years, they've been losing money, and yet we're also not ready with the model implementation.
Oh, we are very ready with the model implementation. I mean, if you look at the 122 stations that he mentioned, and the fact that they have invested close to about $10 million US. I mean, I stated very clearly that when the incident happened at Atomic Junction and the LPG gas station was closed down, there was an investigative body that was put in place. That investigative body prepared a white paper. It came to government. Government needs to go through it. MPA needs to go through it. Ministry of Energy needs to go through it. Now, we've gone through all of that process. And he also admitted very clearly that it was cabinet decision. And so the Minister of Energy, the MPA, those two gentlemen have been extremely involved and very helpful to their cause, for which reason it's been tabled again to Cabinet. I mean, Friday, 29th of July, a memo was sent to Cabinet, which is on the Cabinet agenda today. So Cabinet meets today to look at all the decisions. And I'm very certain the Minister of Energy stated that he's very confident that by close of day today, there will be a lifting up of the ban.
You gave them permits to put up these structures. And so that means that safety checks were done before these permits, I hope.
Clearly.
And I presume clearly so. And so that means that wherever they were sited, I mean, in terms of safety, they must have been sited at the right locations, maybe far away from people or with less people around. So all those things were checked before these permits were granted. We should have just allowed them to go ahead and put up the structure. I mean, if there was one explosion, could we not have picked out the bad nuts and allowed the rest to operate while we also develop our model?
No, but then it's always important that when an issue happens in the country, you go through the right processes. I mean, Ghana is a very big country. We want systems to work.
How big?
And, well, 32 million people.
We're just the size of Lagos.
Well, I mean, Lagos is bigger than us.
That is just one small part of a big country.
Well,
yeah.
but we are big enough. We have issues that we need to deal with. And so in the sovereignty of the country, when issues happen, you need to go through the right processes. And I believe that sometimes when governance processes are ongoing, to be able to set models that can be reused and replicated later in the future, we should appreciate those models that can be used and replicated in the future. And I'm very certain that, I mean, not belaboring the point, I think today is good news for Mr. Gabriel Kumi and the rest of his industry players. This has come to government's attention. I mean, clearly it's been on government's table all these years, reviewing it and making sure that we are making the right decisions. I mean, those constructions that are going on, maybe in the next 2-3 months, they should start operationalization.
What if that doesn't happen?
It's going
What
to happen
if this ban is
because
not lifted?
The ban is going to be
You're
lifted.
very sure of that?
I'm very certain that the ban is going to be lifted. The Minister for Energy has stated very confidently that the ban is going to be lifted.
But it's a cabinet decision,
Cabinet,
so we can say one thing.
Well, the minister is very confident. I mean, MP has brought all their reports out, and the minister has also brought their reports out, and it's submitted to cabinet. And so I assure Mr. Kumi today that he should tell his colleagues and association that they should go to work. They shouldn't go on a strike, because today is a good day. You know, number 3 is a very significant number. And today is the 3rd of August, 2022. And August is also a month of new beginning. So let's begin this month with a lot of hope and assurance. And Mr. Kumi is very happy this morning. Mr. Kumi, a very good morning to you. I'm very certain that you would tell your association that they should resume work, because by close of day, maybe around 5 o'clock, I mean, you should see a letter come from the cabinet meeting.
Comrade, should they... Gabby, I'll come to you shortly. You hold on. Let me just allow Comrade to get a bite on this, and then I'll come to you for your response.
He got a munch, so I should get a bite.
But what do you say? Because I've seen that release by the minority asking that government resolves this matter because it's taken too long. But we're hearing Palgrave give us assurance that this ban will be lifted today, come what may.
I think a very good communicator. I think he'll be doing better than Paul does for the MP.
Oh my God.
And when you, I mean, he is an industry player, and he's acknowledging the fact that 2 individuals have been very forthcoming, very cooperative with them. That is my lecturer and a senior brother, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, and my good friend, a person with whom I have a lot of differences, that is the Minister for Energy. Perhaps the good thing is that they haven't rented a Christmas tree at the cost of 100,000 Ghana cedis like Paul
We're
did.
talking about something to
Oh yes, I'm coming to that.
What has they got to do with Christmas tree?
Well, if you rent a Christmas tree at the cost of 100,000, when Ghanaians were angry later, he came out without any shame and said that someone paid for it. I was given the opportunity to manage public office, NYAP 4 years, Deputy Minister 4 years, a Member of Parliament, not a single scandal. For him, in just 1 year, the scandal was that Paul rented.
We're talking about
yes, I'm coming
LPG.
to that. Yes,
I don't know how that's associated with a Ghana.
Well, if a Gamal is
it has nothing to do with it. So let's respond to
but
the
I'm
critical
saying
issue here.
I'm saying that some people, when they are given the opportunity to manage public office, I challenge him to put out his CV. To win an election is an accomplishment.
How does this resolve the problem that Mr. Gabi Kumi is raising?
When you have
morning?
square pegs in round holes, certainly you'd have the kinds of problems we have. And that is the angle I'm looking at it. So let me just be very clear that, Mr. Kumi, I would really love that you guys don't engage in strike as a citizen of this country, because I know the consequences of your actions on many people in their homes. But he made a compelling case that some have actually lost their lives as a result of this, that they went in for loans, and those loans come with huge interest. And they went in for loans with the anticipation that they were going to build these gas stations so that they will be able to pay the loans. I'm not too sure whether they can pay these loans even when they are allowed to go ahead with the construction. Some of them would have to go through difficulty. I won't be surprised if even some went to these microfinance entities for such facilities. To the extent that this thing happened 5 years ago, and for which reason government recklessly put this ban. And I say reckless because it was the dereliction of responsibility and the duty of government, who was supposed to be monitoring the stations and ensuring that all their activities meet the safety standards. Government failed in doing so. Why would the people who went in for loans, went in for the processes of acquiring the certificates to build these factories, be denied the opportunity to do so? What responsible governments do, and what the NDC would have done if this thing had happened under the NDC, would have been that, yes, those who already indeed acquired the certificate and started the construction of their gas stations should go ahead. But we are no longer going to give new licenses to people who want to engage in it. That is what responsible governments do. Now, if you should take this government 5 years, and that 5 years you were even wondering on this cylinder redistribution, what we're going to do, someone who speaks for government, particularly in the area of governance, still doesn't even know. And I don't blame him, because there is nothing he has to tell the people of this country, because there is no plan.
No, but he says there is a plan. They are ready.
What plan? You ask him. And he said a cabinet meeting. There's no plan. I'm not blaming him. There's no plan. It was just a knee-jerk response, just a face-saving directives, yet there isn't any plan. 5 solid years, you can't tell me, is too short a time to be able to come out with a plan of implementation. You remember when the cylinder, management of the cylinder appeared before our committee, the Public Accounts Committee. Mind you, Public Accounts Committee has even recommended prosecution of the head of that place because of the thievery that we uncovered with regards to the activities of the cylinder plant. So what I'm simply saying is that government ought to have allowed them to go ahead with the construction of these things and then take the necessary mechanism. It doesn't matter when you stop this new, businessmen from engaging in the construction, yet what you are supposed to do responsibly as a regulator, you haven't been able to do that, then the problem would reoccur. And for me, that is the worry. What you are supposed to do. And for him expecting the gentleman and his team to call off the strike because they have been promised that there is a possibility of the ban being lifted. We had series of such stories under this government. We were told that every constituency was going to be given $1 million. As a matter of fact, that $1 million found space in their manifesto. That $1 million found space in every single rally, the current president and the vice president. People bought into those promises. And what happened? At the end of the day, nothing happened. And that is why they would have to hasten cautiously. I listened to the Minister for Energy on my way on one of the radio stations. And he said, look, we don't have any contract with them. But we do know that their inability or refusal to operate is going to affect a lot of people. But our worry now should not even be the non-operationalization of these things. Our worry should be the cost. There is an NGO, in fact, about 3 days today, a leader of that NGO was invited to one of the radio stations. And that leader said that there has been a surge in the use of firewood and charcoal.
Yeah.
That more and more Ghanaians are moving away from the use of the LPG gas to firewood. That is worrying.
Because of the increase in cost.
That is worrying. And for me, that should be of concern to us. Now, if you have this huge challenge, and then you have another thing that is coming. In fact, on my way, one of the stations also reported that there is going to be, adjustment in tariffs of the utilities that we get. Fuel prices are going to be adjusted. LPG gas prices are going to be adjusted. And when we begin to look at it, we should look at it holistically. So I think that government should act quickly. The best thing they should do, lift the ban, don't give any license again, and allow those who already had the license to operate, let them go ahead with their construction. And I think that they should go further. Demand that there should be some sort of compensation from government.
Okay.
Compensation to those who went in for such loans, who are not able to construct this because of the time. Because those financial institutions who gave them the loans wouldn't even care whether they are able to, depending on the terms they have in the loan agreements. But most of them, they wouldn't have anticipated this. So those will not be captured in the terms of agreement they had for the purposes of the loans they acquired. And I think that there is going to be a huge challenge. So let's just maybe give a faint hope in the statement my brother is making, even though he himself could not certainly tell whether the ban will be lifted or not. But I think that it should be in the interest of all of us if the ban is lifted.
All right.
Apart from the fact that people are going through challenges. Yesterday, someone went to check his leaked gas cylinder. The people were not operating. How about those who did not have reserve? I was telling him, off air that I have 3 cylinders, so at any point in time I have that. How about people out there? Now, if my gas ends and the family must eat, the kids must eat when they come from school, I certainly would have to rely on firewood or charcoal. And relying on firewood or charcoal, you're asking people to fall a lot of trees.
Well, let me just quickly go back to Mr. Gabi Kumi before we wrap up on this conversation, move on to our next topic after the break. Mr. Gabi Kumi, so we've heard from both of our communicators here. Of course, Palgrave says that be rest assured by the end of today, that ban will be lifted by the president and, of course, by cabinet. But also that concern about not having to embark on a strike and that you could have still had this matter addressed without going on a strike. What do you say to that?
Let me say thank you to your 2 panelists in the studio. They are both very good communicators. While the NDC man is trying to rope in a bit of politics, the NPP man is also being very quite defensive and reassuring. I mean, it's all part of it. I mean, the NPP man is
for you. I'm not doing politics. I'm fighting for you. You should be thanking me for fighting for you.
Make your point, sir.
We agree. So, you see, in this era of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war, in these difficult times that we are having,
this man is an MPP.
If you have a private businessman waking up in the morning and locking up his business, that is not going to work. That it means something very, very, very big is chasing that person. And that's the state we've gotten to now. We will be very happy to work. Look, the month has just ended. I haven't been able to pay my salaries. Today is that. My workers are sitting there looking at my face. Revenue authorities are coming for us. They are coming for their taxes. Every 2 weeks, we have to pay tax to Ghana Revenue Authority on the liftings that we've done. We are not working. We need to go and pay all these things. So it's not an easy decision at all for you to look at the faces of your consumers and tell them that I'm locking this place. But it's for the good for the industry. As I did indicate, the LPG industry is one of the few industries. In fact, I don't know of any industry in Ghana which is 100% local content in terms of participation. The LPG industry is the only one we have. We expect government to do things to rather encourage us and to protect us, but not to go this to this extent. We are prepared to work, but our demand to government is very simple, straightforward, and legitimate. There is no Ghanaian who has been able to come out to say that, look, your demands are not legitimate, or you are making, excuse me to say, useless demand. Everybody, including government communicators like my big brother sitting there, admit that we have a case. So our demand on government is just two. Either government give us that $10 million to compensate our members, or government gives us go ahead to complete these stations and operate them so we recoup the investment made in them.
So it's two things here. Two things here. You're saying that either they give you the $10 million or they lift the ban and allow you to carry on. So if they lift the ban and allow you to complete your structures, does it mean that you're not going to demand any form of compensation at all?
Well, my brother raised that issue, but for me, that is not, though that issue he raised is very legitimate. But because for the past 5 years, we've been paying interest to the bank. Can you imagine where we got the money to pay those interests? You see, so we in fact, after lifting the ban, we deserve some compensation.
Would you request?
That is not our primary focus now.
Okay.
Our focus is government to give us that leeway to be able to get these stations completed as soon as possible so we can give employment, over 1,200 employment to Ghanaians.
Okay.
So government has an agenda to increase penetration of LPG from the current 25%. I don't know if it's still 25% because consumption of LPG is already on the decline.
Yeah.
To 50% by the year 2030. If all these 120 stations have been allowed to operate, and each station is even selling 20 tons of LPG a month, we would have gotten from 25 penetration level to about 40% by now. But now we are getting backwards. All these stations would have sold the LPG and would have paid taxes to government to improve on our dying financial situations in the country. So we demand that government act on this today.
Okay.
I will respect the assurance given us by my brother. We will get back to our members. But to say that we should put is it the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse? We should go to work and we have had these assurances over and over and over again. It's like you being at home with your kid brother or your daughter or son at home, and you need something today, you tell him, oh, this evening I'll give it to you. Oh, tomorrow I'll give it to you. Oh, the next day I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
He even loses trust for you.
Okay.
So
all right.
If it's today will not. We've been on strike for the past 3 days. Today, if we hear that good announcement, that good communication from government by today, I can assure you our members will work even in the night to serve the general public.
I see. Okay. But if it's not, then that means that the strike will continue unabated.
It will continue. That one I can assure you that if this simple, legitimate demand that all of you sitting in those studios, and you, Bella, I know you support us. All of you, the government communicator himself is in support of what we are saying.
All right.
And so why this cannot be done? It must be done.
All right.
And we are waiting for 5 o'clock. As soon as we get that information, we will send instruction to our member to start serving the public immediately.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. Mr. Gabi Kumi is the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketing Companies Association of Ghana, and you've heard from him. Let's wait till 5 p.m. to find out what's the decision of Cabinet and, of course, the decision of those who have embarked on strike would be. When we get back, we'll get into the conversation about the Ministry of Gender and the fact that the Deputy Minister has now been nominated to the position of Substantive Minister pending the approval of Parliament. We'll be right back.